This is the Bullseye Podcast.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to the podcast like no other. You'll love this podcast so much, you'll be begging for sloppy seconds. This is Bullseye, the Bullseye Network, and the Bullseye Podcast on the growing and growing Bullseye frequency of your life. And Bullseye is back. And we're with Angelo's back.
Yes.
Where you been, dude?
Back.
Where you been?
MIA. Let's just call it MIA.
MIA, okay, you sure.
Yeah, we call it MIA.
This is a broad range of it. Could be anything
there
from
you go. Use your imagination.
Right, exactly. I hope she was interesting. Let's put that. I hope she was a lot of fun. So I'm going to ask you a question. Are you still wearing your Jets mask when you go around, when you're, protecting yourself?
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. I was in the gym just on Sunday morning, pretty early, Saturday morning, and I had my Jets mask on. And sure enough, within a short amount of time, another guy comes over to work out near there, also wearing a Jets mask. And we very quickly got into the conversation. We were probably right around the same age. And the conversation was, why do we do this to ourselves?
Right.
Why do we do this to ourselves? We were both wearing Jets masks. We both looked at each other and shook our heads, and we knew what that head shake meant.
We might as well. Right. It's kind of a prelude of being a senior citizen. So right. This way, when you get there, you've been all the way. You've had disappointments, and the team has done a lot for me. Now I'm switching from Happy Days to I Dream of Jeannie and Leave It to Beaver. So I'm mixing it around while the Jet game. And so I want to thank them for having me spruce back up on my TV classics.
It's incredible. There's nothing worth to watch. Yesterday was absolutely brutal, and this season is maybe one of the worst seasons ever in terms of they haven't started this badly since Kotite's second season as coach.
I mean, the legendary Rich Kotite. We'll get into him.
Yeah.
We're going to get into him.
So this is how bad it is.
Yeah,
right now
it's bad, and it's just like you expect it, and then you know what it does? It tests you as a fan, and it makes you want to be more of a fan because you're like running uphill. So it's like you're trying to prove something, hey, look at me. I'm a schmuck, but I'm still here. You know what I mean? Throw an egg at me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
for what?
Right.
For the payoff that's supposed to come for hanging in there. When's that happening for Jets fans? I don't see it in the next couple of years based on what's going on.
Jet fans, do me a favor. Don't tell me the Patriots suck, please. I don't want to hear it.
No.
Come on. I don't want to hear it. Gary V and people like that. I mean, I get that you love the Jets. I like it. It's cool, but you're not a realist. I live in reality. Be real.
Exactly.
I live in reality. Speaking of being real, this is going to be the Bullseye Top 100. Hit it!
This is the Bullseye Top 100.
The Bullseye Top 100 today, because Angelo is here joining us. It's going to be about the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Could be one of your. Jeez. All right.
I mean, how can you not be sour on them at this stage, Bullseye? What's the redeeming?
We're going to try to conjure up the memories when we talk about the Jets' worst seasons and some of their worst losses, because it's easier to do that than talk about the great wins, because there's about 4 of them. Okay, so
that's true.
And we could not fill a half-hour show. Hey, but what we're going to do right now is what we've been doing lately is we're going to do our Bullseye Trivia Question of the Day. Hit it, man.
And now it's time for the Bullseye Trivia Question of the Day.
All right, we're going to do the Bullseye Trivia Question of the Day, and this is a Jet question. You should be able to nail this, right? Which Jets wide receiver was the first NFL player to reach 10,000 receiving yards? Ooh.
That would be.
I'll give you a choice.
No. That would be Don Maynard.
Don Maynard, says Angelo. And he is Although Maynard never led the league in receiving in any one season, at the time of his retirement, the four-time AFL All-Star had 633 career catches and 11,834 yards. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Nice going. Way to go.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to roll.
It wasn't Santonio Holmes, that's for sure.
Right? How many games did he wind up playing for the Jets?
Santonio Holmes?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe about 30.
Wow. They come and go so fast. You know what I mean?
So quickly you forget they were even here.
You could do a whole show on people who played for the Jets that you forget they played for. Art Monk.
Ronnie Lott.
Well, Art Monk was good. He was number 81, right? We're going to get into that.
Art Monk was good.
Yeah, 81. Well, his great career was with the Redskins, right? Art Monk?
Of course.
Right, of course. But he was with the Jets. But he was with the Jets first, of course.
No, after. He was with the Jets at the end.
Oh, see? I'm confused. All right. There goes my memory. Art Monk. Okay. All right, man. Here we go.
Go. All
right. So, actually, it's not the Bullseye 100 because we can't go that deep. We're going to start off at 52, okay? The 1996 season. Go ahead. Jets 1-15. We know the coaches.
1-15. Richie Kotite was the coach. The season started off terribly. Absolutely terribly, and just got worse from there. In fact, their only win, I was at that only win, as a matter of fact, which took place in Arizona against the Cardinals,
right, exactly.
who were just as bad that year.
Mm-hmm.
The significant thing about that game was Frank Reich was the Jets starting quarterback. Adrian Morrell had about 199 yards rushing, and the starting QB for the Cardinals was, I believe, Kent Graham. Boomer Esiason was on the Cardinals that year, but he was injured near the end of the season and could not play in that game. There was only about 20,000 of us in the stadium, and I would say about a quarter of them were Jets fans.
And
at Sun Devil Stadium.
Wow. I used to like Adrian Morrell, and I always just...
He was good.
And then as soon as he got warmed up, he would get hurt. As soon as he would get going, he would get hurt. That's typical Jets.
Yeah, he was pretty good. In fact, he had a 93-yard run in that game and did not score a touchdown on that play.
Just like Leon Washington. Oh, he's great. He's gone. He's great. He's gone. Where did he go? he was great for 7 games, and then they're gone,
So explosive, and then on the IR for half the season.
We'll get to all these. All right, low lights of the season. The Jets lost their first 2 games to the Broncos and the Colts, respectively, by a combined score of 52-13, and things never got better.
That was the year O'Donnell was signed, and no, that was the year before they signed O'Donnell, wasn't it?
Right.
That was the O'Donnell year.
I think. I don't know that for sure. We'll check that. Morrell
it was.
Morrell had a great
year.
season. Morrell had a great season for the Jets, considering the circumstances. Of course, he ran the ball 301 times for 1,250 yards and 6 touchdowns. I used to like him, Adrian Morrell.
That's pretty good for a 1-win team.
Right. Kotite was clueless, right? He was overwhelmed. He was miserable. He bumbled his way through his 6-year coaching career. Man, had this guy, I don't know who, he had something on somebody. Somebody gave him a break.
Mr. Hess. I want to win now, Mr. Hess said when they hired him. And they won but 3 times or 4 times in his entire tenure as Jets coach.
Oh, check this out. Awful. The team didn't even get the benefit of having a number 1 draft pick in the 97 draft after that year. It traded that pick to the Rams, who drafted Orlando Pace.
That's right.
Right?
The Jets ended up – that was what, the 97 –
That was 96, right? The 97 draft, because they only had 1 win. They had the number 1 draft pick, and they traded to the Rams, and that's it. Typical. I don't know who the GM was in those days. I'll have to. I don't know who they had in those days, but he sucked. All right, 1976. I remember this.
Oh boy, that's the Lou Holtz year.
Lou Holtz and Mike Holovac, who was also
Mike Holovac. Is that who took over at the end?
Took over for Holtz. The Jets
after Holtz quit.
3-11. He doesn't look like a pro coach. He just it didn't look like it. He looked like he'd be carrying the windbreakers. You know what I mean?
He was too busy writing fight songs, New York Jet fight songs.
Right, he always used to pick the grass. I remember even a college game. He went down tried to pick the grass, but it was AstroTurf. He's like, He's trying
man.
I like Lou Holtz though. Great American. The outcome of the game itself wasn't a highlight, but on December 12th, 76, Joe Willie suited up for the Jets for the last time in his career. The Jets
was the last.
Yeah, that's it. Jets lost 42-3 to a Bengals team that day. And the Jets beat the winless Buccaneers and swept a 2-win Bills team for their 3 wins. Yes, come on,
wow.
Strong. I remember that's
Buccaneers.
Right. They used to substitute Namath on 3rd and 4th down when they wanted to run the ball, and they used to bring Richard Todd in. Why don't you say we're going to run it now? You know, like it was
talking about telegraphing your plays.
Yeah, it was tough watching Joe in those days.
Remember Lou Holtz thought he was going to run the veer offense with gimpy-kneed Joe Namath.
Right.
That was never going to work, and of course it didn't work. And then Namath got hurt, as was his wont.
Yeah, and then he went over to L.A. and he thought he was going to be resurrected in L.A. and it didn't work out. It was sad.
Well, he wanted to be he
got
a star.
On the Brady Bunch, Sonny and Cher. He got on all the shows. I watched them all. I recorded them at one time. I had them all on tape at one time. The team set a franchise record. Listen to this: being outscored by its opponents by 214 points.
Wow. Over a 14-game schedule, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Okay, so most valuable.
They're almost that bad this year.
Hey, the most valuable player of the team, Clark Gaines.
John Riggins.
Clark Gaines.
Clark Gaines.
Yes.
Unsung hero. That guy was talented. He could play, he could catch, he could run, he returned kicks. He definitely flew under the radar in the NFL because the Jets were so bad in 76, 77, 78.
Right. 724 yards, 41 receptions for 400 more yards. He had 5 touchdowns to lead the team. Least valuable player, Richard Todd. Todd was a 23-year-old rookie in 76. He played 13 games. He completed, 40.1% of his passes, pretty poor, and had a 33.2 quarterback ranking. Bad.
That sounds like his
Richard
career
Todd.
numbers.
Yeah,
so that's Richard Todd.
That goes way back. It was like that whole scene. It makes me sick. All right, bottom line, that was a bad time. How about 75? 75, they were 3-11. Remember that team?
They had a string of those 3-11 seasons, 73, 74, 75, right around that time.
Right. That was
just nothing went right. They had coaches named Charlie Winter who did anything but.
That was him, 75, Charlie Winter.
Right?
And Ken Ship.
And Ship. Sinking Ship.
Ken.
Poor guy. He saw. Unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
Charlie Winter.
The Jets moved. They were 2-1 at the start of the season. They beat the Patriots 36-7 in their home opener. And note that game was attended. That game was attended by Japan's Emperor Hirohito. Hey.
Wow. And he wanted to commit harikiri after witnessing it.
He said he had to meet Ken Ship. He heard a lot about him, and he had to come in and meet him because he was mysterious. Why the season isn't ranked higher? Because the team ranked dead last in the NFL in points allowed and yards allowed.
Terrible.
It's ridiculous. Most valuable the team. Hey, one of the team's least valuable player was Joe Namath.
In 75.
Although credit has to be given to Joe Namath for trying to play a full season while barely being able to walk. His play was abysmal in 75. Namath only completed 48.2% of his passes and threw 15 touchdowns against 12. We're going to pass that by. I don't want to, Joe had some bad times,
He did start 13 games.
It was a women's fault. It's always a women's fault. 2005. You know this. This is your wheelhouse. Herman Edwards, Jets 4-12.
Oh, Herm's last year.
The Jets they beat the Dolphins. They were 1-1. Then Chad Pennington would get injured, thrusting Brooks Bollinger into the starting role.
The Brooks Bollinger year.
They never gave him a chance.
That was bad. Yeah, right. They never had a good backup quarterback. How about that?
Wow. All right.
They could never. Wow, that was so bad. Brooks Bollinger.
As a result of the field, it ended Wayne Krebeck's NFL career in Week 9. Krebeck caught a pass to
with a concussion.
Late third down against the Chargers, but he hit his head on the turf, and that was it. Never again. Boy, time flies. It's 2005. Wow.
Wow.
All right. Time flies when you're getting your ass kicked. All right. All right. Number 48. Back to Richie Kotite, 95, right? Did we talk about that,
man.
3 and 13?
No, but that was a bad year, too.
Yeah, another one.
I mean, we did discover Corbett that year.
Corbett was good that year, right?
Yeah.
All right.
We did discover Corbett that year.
Then he gave a good 3-4 years, right, with the Jets.
But they also lost to the expansion Panthers that year, the Jets, at home with quarterback Bubby Brister. It was an embarrassing season in 95.
Yeah.
Embarrassing.
Yep, indeed. Hugh Douglas was the most valuable player of that team. Good player.
He was a good player. He was drafted. I was at that draft, as a matter of fact. It was the year the Jets had 2 picks in the first round. I think it was the 7 and again the 10.
Right.
And they took Hugh Douglas at the 10, and no one really knew who he was. And he came from a small school, so we were kind of confused as to who he was. But at least he turned out to be a pretty good player, right? But the other pick was Kyle Brady.
Right, tight end from Penn State.
Yeah, he got booed.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
And they should have booed him because he played for a few years. He played for the Eagles too, didn't he? Go for a while, maybe a year or two.
Jaguars.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. He wasn't bad. I didn't think
he was okay. I mean, the thing was, that was a no-win situation for him. What the hell were the Jets drafting when Warren Sapp is on the board?
Right.
And the entire arena was the what do you call that? The Paramount Theater at the Garden. Every Jet fan is chanting, "We want Sapp, we want Sapp, we want Sapp." And the Jets go and take Kyle Brady, tight end out of Penn State. That's Kyle Brady was never going to stand a chance in New York, and so and plus he's a tight end.
And the fans were right. The fans were right, and then the Jets trade. Then the Jets go and trade you, Douglas, to the Eagles.
Atlanta.
And the Eagles
right.
became a Pro Bowler 3 times.
Right, the Eagles.
Typical Jets. I mean, again, we could do a whole show on that. Bad trade.
That was Parcells. Parcells traded him away.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah, that was a Parcells trade.
Well, it has something to do with either his attitude or something. Maybe they had a fight. Who knows? 1997, 3 and 11, Walt Michaels.
That was 77.
77. I'm sorry.
77. Yeah. But you know what? That was a bad year. Right. But you at least start to see a couple of pieces start to fall into place that year. Right. In 77, because 78 and 79 they went 8 and 8, 8 and 8 with mostly that personnel they started to put together in 77.
Right.
Yeah. So that was on the field a really bad year.
They were shut out 3 times.
Yeah.
Shut out.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Bruce Harper was the MVP of the team.
Bruce Harper, yeah.
Kutztown State. Kutztown
State. Number 42.
That's right.
Same school as Andre Reed.
Right, and does fireman, what's his name there, Ed, right? Still wear the Bruce Harper jersey, right? 42?
Yeah, I believe he does.
Right. All right, Richard.
That was Walt Michaels' first year.
Yes, then he wound up going to the Generals. Remember? After that.
Yeah, later on.
Okay. So that was it. That's the bottom line of that team. Now I go to 1992. Another great year. Jets pulling in at 4 and 12. Bruce Kozlett.
Was that the Browning-Nagel year?
Browning-Nagel year. The Jets went 5-0 in the preseason.
5-0.
In preseason, of course. Browning-Nagel, the team's second-round draft pick in 91. Nagel, where did he go, to Purdue? Browning-Nagel? Something like that?
No, Nagel went to Louisville.
All right. Nagel, you're right. Nagel got off to a great start as he threw for 366 yards and 2 touchdowns and an opening
against
day
Atlanta.
Loss. Right, to the Falcons.
Against Atlanta. They should have won that game.
Everyone looked like it was going to be streamless transition from Ken O'Brien, who, by the way, a lot of Jet fans that I talked to actually used to like Ken O'Brien.
I liked Ken O'Brien. I think he was their second best, maybe their best ever quarterback. I mean, Joe Namath is Joe Namath, right? But
he just got the bad rap because he was a Marino,
Sure.
Yes.
Ken O'Brien could throw.
My cousin was telling me that last week because I like Ken O'Brien. I go, you know what? All right. I forgot about Ken O'Brien.
Think about all the Jet quarterbacks, okay, and which one after Joe Namath, because you're going to say Joe Namath's the best quarterback the Jets ever had.
Right.
But after him, who's the best quarterback they ever had? Pennington?
Vinny? I like Vinny Testaverde for that short time.
Yeah, but he didn't do right. But his window wasn't big enough.
I know, but that was a great window. I was like, that was a
O'Brien was there for about 7-8 years himself, maybe 9 even.
MVP of that team, Dennis Byrd.
Yeah. Was that the same year?
Yeah, Dennis Byrd
against Kansas City.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Was that the year he got hurt? I don't know. Despite the 3-9 win, Bird's injury, yeah. Bird's injury, the team went on to beat Buffalo next week and beat the AFC leading Bills behind the inspired effort. Yes, he was a good ball player, and that was sad memories. Those are memories. When you look back and you remember going through that, because at that time I was a big Jet fan. Now it's annoys me. I told you. I don't really. Maybe next year. I wrote this year off.
It's hard when they're 0-5. What are you supposed to do? What are we watching for?
Maybe we'll never know. I kind of my tastes kind of swing. I didn't mean that. The bottom line: the Jets were probably sabotaged at the start from O'Brien. Held out for money in that season, and he screwed everything up. See, he wanted more money, so that was it. All right, there we go. Then 1980, they were 4-12 again. See, consistency.
1980.
Consistency.
1980 was a disappointing year because they had just finished back-to-back 8-8 seasons, right?
Right.
So it was looking like the Jets were on the upswing in 1980, and that was the one step back season in Walt Michaels' tenure there. Because he started in 77, they were 3-11. Then they went 8-8, 8-8. Took a step back and went 4-12. This was a very bad year, as a matter of fact, in 1980. But then 81, 82, they were playoff teams both years.
Right.
With Walt Michaels.
They were rebuilding. Marvin Powell was the MVP of the team. Very good. USC.
Great offensive
He went to
lineman.
USC, right? Marvin Powell. Yes, USC.
Yes, he
there
did.
we go. Sometimes the memory comes in, sometimes it leaves. You know what I mean? It's like
the 1980 season ended with a game against Miami on a Saturday, week 16, with no announcers.
Yes, I do remember that. Wow.
No, the announcerless game was Jets Dolphins.
Good for you.
Last game of the season.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anything to know about that team?
Nothing great.
Nothing great. No, right.
Nothing great about the 80 Jets.
Nothing great at all.
But you didn't know, and when the way 81 started, you figured it was just going to be more of the same.
Right. Clark Gaines. Clark Gaines had a good season still. It was not bad. Clark Gaines. I forgot.
That guy was like I said earlier, that guy was a solid running back, right? The worst part of the 1980 Jets, by the way, was that they were the only win for the Saints that year. The Aints were 1-15, and their one win was against the Jets.
Right.
Yeah.
1989 with the legendary Joe Walton.
That was the Joe Must Go year. I was at a few games that year.
4-12.
Yeesh.
Joe, another one.
That was a bad year.
He was the offensive coordinator, Joe Walton, right? For Walt Michaels, right? Was that
and he was very creative, and he called when he was the offensive coordinator, he called games with a little bit of he'd go for stuff that you wouldn't expect at times. And he didn't do any of that when he was the coach then.
Half-empty stands at the Meadowlands chanting, "Joe must go."
I was there for it. I heard it a few times. They were so bad.
Team most valuable player, Eric McMillan.
Wow, the defensive back.
Defensive back.
Safety,
See
right?
that? Where else are you getting this kind of information? You're not getting it on SNY, by the way. FYI.
I think McMillan had a couple touchdowns that year.
Right.
Long returns.
He made the Pro Bowl for a second time in his 2-year career. Not bad. McMillan led the team with 6 interceptions. Nice. And returned both fumbles he recovered for touchdowns. Pretty good.
There you go. Yeah, his career went south fast along with his attitude.
I'm guessing Penn State. Fast. Penn State hit me, but I know I'm not right with that one. I don't
remember where he went.
Chris Burkett was the least most valuable player.
Chris Burkett, I think his name was pronounced.
Right, he came from the Bills. All right, he sucked.
Right, he came from the Bills.
Bottom line, 43, 1963. Why did I say 43? 1963, Jets 5-8-1 under Weeb Eubank.
Was that at the end of Weeb's? What year did you say? No, this is the very
beginning, 63. This is when they just started. Before Joe and everything else, the team was bought by Sonny Werblin.
Who was the quarterback? Was it Al Woodall, maybe?
No, Al Woodall played with Joe. He was the backup to Namath. Al Woodall went to Duke.
So Lee Gross Cup, maybe, then.
Sammy Ball was the coach at the beginning, and then he was gone. So Tobin Rote was on the team. Who he was, right? Kyle Rote's brother?
Yeah.
No. Tobin Rote played for Denver. What am I talking about? And the Jets won 2 of their final 10 games in the early season. They lost 53-7 to Tobin Rote and the Denver. So they were building. Larry Grantham was named first team All-Pro.
He was a Super Bowl contributor.
Yeah.
He was there when they won.
He started. There we go.
Yeah.
Least valuable player was Dick Guzman. Never heard of him, believe it or not.
Never
heard of the dude. All right, we're out of here. 62. Now we're going back. Head coach was Bulldog Turner. Back-to-back wins.
He was one of those old-time players.
Back-to-back wins against the Chargers and the Raiders in weeks 8 and 9 left the New York Titans with a 4-5 record and some momentum for a big home matchup against, ready for this, Hank Stram and the Dallas Texans. What do you think about that?
And they lost.
Yeah. The Week 10 loss to the Texans was disheartened as the franchise was struggling financially. And a win against the AFL champions might have helped the team's popularity, but the lowlight came at the end of the season when owner Harry Wismer was unable to meet the team's payroll and sold the team.
Don't you wish that the Johnson family...
Sonny Werblin. There you go.
Don't you wish right now that the Johnson family would somehow be unable to pay
the
Jet bills?
They're
so
just
the
ridiculous.
NFL could force them to sell the team. They're the worst
one
owners.
Thing I think about when I see them, dweeb. That's the first thing that comes into my head. Dweeb.
They're just so bad. They're bad at being owners. They have no idea who they're hiring.
They pushed over priced the pharmaceuticals for years, and they made a fortune. What are you going to do? See, now I'm attacking the pharmaceutical industry because that's what I do. I go to war. Okay. 2007, Eric Mangini, 4-12.
Oh, wow.
Man genius. Was the year before they were great, right? And then they went down to 4-12, I think.
Yeah, I don't even know if they were great. They were just all right, right? They were never
right. They were third in the AFC East at 4-12. Man genius. Curtis Martin.
Well, we've had some doozies. Curtis Martin was great.
On that team. Team also struck a chord when it traded its green and white for blue and gold to honor the Titans for the first time. Right. Former Titans Larry Grantham, Bill Mathis, Don Maynard, and Curly Johnson were on hand. Hey! There you go. See? We relived it. Low light of the season.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. A lot of low lights. Season was supposed to be one of hope for the Jets. They were coming off a 10-6 record. See, I told you. From the year before, and added Darrell Revis and David Harris via the draft, and Thomas Jones in a trade. And it didn't work out.
Which was a good trade. Well, Thomas Jones contributed to that team that made it to the playoffs and to the championship game in when Sanchez was a rookie.
Well, it was the first year of Nick Mangold and DeBrickashaw Ferguson. They were good, right?
They were good. Yeah, they were good.
And the MVP was Jericho Cotchery.
Another guy that was good, and they let him go after that season.
Right.
Made no sense.
It says here, team least valuable player was Chad Pennington. I guess he's had a bad year. Whatever, he had a bad year. 2007, right? What are you going to do? All right, 1970, Jets 4-10. Weeb Eubank.
Oh, boy.
Right? This is when Namath was hurt all season, by the way. The team's first matchup with the Colts in Super Bowl III. Namath fractures his wrist. I remember that in a 29-22 loss. He wasn't able to finish the season. And that's when Al Woodall stepped in, by the way. You mentioned Al Woodall.
Right? Okay.
Right. That was Al Woodall. Number 18. Was he from Yale or Duke? One or the other. I'm thinking Yale or Duke. He was from one of those two schools.
I don't remember the Jets ever having
no, it was Duke.
Anybody from Yale.
It was Duke. I think it was Duke. Team most valuable player, John Elliott, defensive lineman.
Jumbo.
No, that's not Jumbo.
No,
Jumbo.
I know. I'm only playing around.
That's right. Johnny Elliott was a defensive lineman, right? With Jerry Philbin and all those guys, Verlin Biggs. Team's least valuable player was George Sauer, and he must have had a terrible season. Sauer, 1970. Sauer. 1973, they're 4-10. Weeb again, Manon. He's really losing here. Because the Mets,
it was time to go at that point.
Check this out. Because the Mets were in the World Series, the Jets had
to play their first 5 games in a row. I think
6 games on the road. Right.
On the road.
Right.
How can the league do that? How can it just goes to show you how times have changed. I mean, first of all, teams don't share stadiums. That's number one. That doesn't happen anymore.
Well, there was it's all about television now, as you know. So it's all built around the TV.
Well, don't forget though, the Jets were second-class citizens at Shea.
Yeah,
and it didn't matter. They weren't allowed to have a home game until the Mets season was over anyway.
It's like playing with 2 hands tied behind your back.
They were 2-4 routinely.
I'm pissed.
It makes you mad, doesn't it?
I'm pissed off now that I'm thinking about it.
And most of those years in the 70s, the Mets were equally as garbage as the Jets were. 73 was the accident.
What accident?
The Mets making the series.
Oh, the accident. Okay. Well, see, they say even a blind squirrel catches a nut. You know what I mean? So that's what happens.
Yeah, that's what happened. Right. So the Jets had to play 6 games in a row to start the season on the road.
Right. 1964, let's cruise through these. Jets 5-8-1. Good old Weeb again. I mean, he decided he had to quit. So Ricky Matt Snell for they were warming up. He was warming up. Yeah. I got to give Weber. He won a Super Bowl. Matt Snell they got from Ohio State. They got Joe Willie. And most valuable player was Denard Paulson. Who would have known? Paulson led the AFL with 12 interceptions and was named to his first Pro Bowl.
I didn't know that.
You're not going to find that anywhere else, man. Hey,
no, it's good stuff.
This is why they're tuning in all over the world. Least valuable player was Dick Wood. He threw 25 interceptions.
He threw a lot of picks, yeah.
Yeah. Not a good name. 1965.
No. That's like Peter Johnson.
1965. 5-8-1. We did that. Weeb again. 65.
Yeah,
that was Joe's first season. Wasn't that bad? Come on. 94.
That wasn't that bad a year. That was the year they were starting to show life, and they were actually 500 halfway through. That's a little bit of overstating.
But unless you're over 500, it's a bad season for normal people. For the Jets, it's an average season.
It was a moral victory.
Here's a great. This was a great move. 94 Jets 6-10. Pete Carroll was the coach. They got rid of Bruce Coslett. They brought in Pete Carroll, the young hotshot assistant. Tried to inject some new
1994. Yeah, that season went south on the fake spike game, which I had the displeasure of being in attendance of.
Really?
In fact, I was sitting in that end zone where Marino threw the last touchdown pass. And let me tell you something. This is no BS. Okay, I was there with 2 other people.
Right.
They bought tickets on their own. I had a ticket by myself, and I was standing next to a Miami fan the whole time.
Right.
And we were going back and forth, really friendly, right? And at one point during that last play, the Dolphins are lining up, and Marino's doing the motioning. And I said to the guy next to me, he ain't spiking this ball. And then he throws a 4th touchdown pass of the day to Mark Ingram. I was apparently the only guy in the stadium expecting it because the Jets didn't do anything to stop them.
You realize how many Dolphin fans who hate the Jets lived off of that play for years?
For years. And to have been I've been to so many Jets-Dolphin games over the years. Some that the Jets have won, but that one sticks in my craw like anything else because of the historic nature of it, because it gets brought up, because of the circumstances surrounding it, because had the Jets won, they would have been in first place, because they didn't win again the rest of the year. You know, there were so many things behind that one play that signified the essence of what it means to follow this team.
That's right.
They were up. Remember, they were up 24-3 that game. Boomer was looking good. Johnny Mitchell, the tight end, was finally finding himself in the offense. Everything was working for this team at that point until 3 quarters into that game.
Gee, you got me depressed. That
was a depressing day.
I came into the show, somewhat happy. All right. Jets' most valuable player was
by the way, one of the worst Jet losses ever is that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't. I actually could relive it, but there was a Dolphin fan
Thanksgiving weekend,
persona non grata to me right now. That was like busted my balls. It was screw him.
Enough bad things can't happen to the Dolphins for me to be happy.
Absolutely. The team's most valuable player was Mo Lewis.
Yeah, we have him to thank for the Tom Brady career. You know, he's the guy that knocked Drew Bledsoe out of the game at the sideline with that shot to the chest.
There you go.
Where Brady had to come in and mop up and then ended up staying in there.
Right, good point.
You could bet Mo Lewis gets a Christmas card every year from Tom Brady. No doubt about it.
And you remember this guy, Aaron Glenn, was the team's least valuable player.
Number 31. He's the guy that didn't pay any attention to Mark Ingram in the end zone on that last play.
Aaron Glenn.
And he was pretty talented. I think he was out of Texas A&M, I believe.
All right.
He was pretty talented, too.
71 after the Jets coming back. I remember Joe came half a season on that when they were 6-10. That season, we Bubank again. Nothing that I really want to try to remember on that one.
Yeah, skip past that.
1990, we do that one, right? 1990, 6-10. Did we do that one? Bruce Coslett started the season 2-2. He was already half as many wins the team had the year before. The Jets matched the 4-win total from 1989 when they beat Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and the Cowboys 24-9 in week number 9.
Wow.
Exciting. Blair Thomas from Penn State. He went to Penn State. First-round draft pick.
Terrible.
You don't sound happy about this. See, I think I'm hearing the stomach acid starting to turn.
He's the guy. Remember, he fumbled with under 2 minutes remaining on Monday night against Chicago. Right. All the Jets had to do was run out the clock to win the game. They ended up losing to Harbaugh in overtime on a national television audience. Very painful.
Yeah, very painful. Dennis Byrd was up and coming in that team.
Yeah.
Remember this dude, Tony Stargell? At least
I do. I think he wore number 49.
Team least valuable player, Tony Stargell. And that was that season. Then we're going back to 61. Sammy Ball was the head coach. They were 7-7. We'll blow through that. 87, they're 6-10 under Joe Walton again, Mr. Consistency. What happened that season? They had high expectations that season. And then, of course,
they were a playoff team the year before.
They collapsed, of course. Al Toon made his second straight Pro Bowl after finishing first in the AFC with 68 receptions, while the rest of the Jets were busy phoning in the final 4 games of the season.
Yeah, the Jets really didn't deserve Al Toon in that era. They, had nothing else but him offensively.
You're right. Who's the QB then again? What do we have here?
Well, still O'Brien.
Okay.
O'Brien. And then what? I don't remember who after O'Brien. Tony Eason for a year, and then Boomer.
Right. All right. 66. They're 6-2. Weeb Bank again. Boy, he only had
2 ties.
Yeah, Weeb. Come on, man. 2003. 6-10 under Hoyme Edwards. Low lights of the season when Chad Pennington dislocated his wrist in a preseason game against the Giants. There you go. And that's when Joe Willie got bombed on the sidelines that game.
Was that the same year where he wanted to kiss Susie Colbert?
Yeah, I wanted to kiss Susie Colbert too, but figured Joe
Thursday night or Monday night.
Yeah. He always got the babes, Joe, no matter what. I know a lot of stories. Why the season isn't ranked higher in the high hopes of the Jets. Many bad decisions by Herman Edwards. They allowed 299 points on the season, which placed them 8th in the NFL in that category. Sean Ellis had the best statistical season of his career when he recorded 12.5 sacks and 48 tackles. Corbett was at the end of his career. The Jets brought in Santana Moss. They had Santana Moss on that team. Okay, there you go. 84, 7-9. Joe Walton again.
Not a terrible season.
And Mark Gastineau recorded 22 sacks. Gastineau had 22 sacks.
He had the record. That's when he set the record that year in 84. But again, the team was an utter disappointment. I think that was O'Brien's rookie season.
Some pretty good players, though, already. Freeman McNeil, Mickey Schuler.
Great tight end.
Marty Lyons, and Lance Mell, another Penn State linebacker.
Yeah, he was a Penn State linebacker, number 54, I think.
We have 74 we talked about. 56. That was Charlie Winter. Nothing about that team, Greg, about that team at all that I even want to think about. Was that a good year for me, 74? Yeah, not bad. 83, Joe Walton again. What a stiff. Jets' most valuable player was Joe Klecko. Gastineau had 19 sacks. Gastineau had 19
sacks.
Yeah,
man. They were good. The disappointing thing about 83 was the expectations behind it, right? Walt Michaels had gotten fired. This was after they lost the championship game in Miami in the rainstorm. And they were one of the favorites to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. And they ended up going 7-9. And the worst part was that was the last year at Shea Stadium. They moved to Giant Stadium the next year for 84.
Wow. And then
83 is a disappointment. 83 sticks with me as all-time listed disappointments.
Sorry, man. Sorry, dude. 1988, 8-7-1. Joe Walton again. Best highlights came when the Giants had to beat
knocked
the Jets.
Out the Giants.
Yes.
Last game of the season.
I was psyched.
That was O'Brien to Toon in the left corner of the end zone to win the game with the season Giants playoff hopes on the line.
Right. Mark Gastineau left the team abruptly that season.
Was that the Brigitte Nielsen year?
Friggin' Brigitte Nielsen.
And he was on and amazing for the fact you just named. He had a 22 sack season. He had a 19 sack season.
Brigitte
and that
Nielsen.
year when he left in 87,
right.
he was off to his probably best start of his career.
Is this before Sylvester? Is this before Slice?
After
Stallone.
She was already a discard.
There's a name for her. I can't say it on this show. I will, though. Why the season isn't ranked lower, who knows? Eric McMillan was also one-man show on defense for the Jets.
He scored 2
for
touchdowns.
him. Yeah, Mark Gastineau, and there you go. 72, they're 7-7. Good old Weeb again. Not doing much after that Super Bowl win. Jets had one of my favorites of all time was the least valuable player, Jerome Barkham.
But he was good.
Most valuable player was Joe Willie. The Jets. That was the year 72 that the Colts game when Namath went against Unitas at Memorial Stadium.
42, 35 or whatever it was.
In Baltimore, it was like 5. Yeah, Namath threw 598 yards.
Yeah, on like 16 completions, right. And like 6 of them were touchdowns.
Yep. That was a great year. All right, 2011. And then we're talking disappointing seasons, 2011 with Rex Ryan. The Jets are 8-8. What happened that year? Week 12 win against the Bills to finish last place once again was a particularly satisfying. Mediocre wide receiver Steven Johnson and a rare success against Darrelle Revis. And let everybody know that after every 5-yard catch, what does that mean to me? Low lights. Without Nick Mangold, the Jets were physically abused by the Ravens in Week 4. Nothing was worse than Santonio Holmes' meltdown. You remember that? The meltdown.
Oh, yeah. He was a tool.
I wonder what he's doing now. Where is he?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's always interesting to know. Let's get him. I'm going to get him on the phone. Let me get Ray on the phone. I want Santonio Holmes. I'm going to tell him off. Bill Parcells, 1999. They were 8-8. So that's when
that was the year Vinny blew out his Achilles.
They blew it, and then he got
and then Rick Meyer
from Notre Dame, and
he stunk up the joint, and then they switched to Ray Lucas. And
I
then
don't know what he saw
fire.
in Ray Lucas, man.
But listen, when they switched to Lucas that year, they were 1-6, and they switched to Lucas. They finished 8-8.
Right.
They were playing about as well as any team at that point.
What was the playoff game? What was it? A playoff game, or did you get into the playoffs where Lucas threw the touchdown against the interception?
That was against Detroit.
Interception.
It was against Detroit. The playoff berth was on the line.
Right, he threw
in
the
Parcells' first year, and Parcells always got cute in situations like that. If you remember in that game against Detroit,
always did.
He always tried to. He took the ball out of the quarterback's hand in the key situations. He gave the ball to Lucas, and then he also had, don't forget, Leon Johnson. He threw an interception in the corner of the end zone.
Right.
Or was it Leon Washington?
It
was Leon Johnson.
Johnson?
I think it was Leon Johnson was his name. Threw another running back. He threw another interception in the end zone when O'Donnell was playing well that day. They ended up losing, and they finished 9-7, and Detroit made the playoffs instead.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll go to one more disappointing season because we can go forever. 2008, 9-7.
Tough games are.
2008, 9-7. Remember that?
Was that the Al Groh year?
That was Eric Mangini. The Jets? They say the Jets were the best team in the NFL after Week 12. Okay?
When they were 9-5 or 9-3 or something.
Brett Favre went into the tank after the Titans win as the team dropped 4 of the last 5 games.
Yep.
The Jets still had a chance to make the playoffs in Week 17, but needed help in an earlier game. Once they didn't get help, they rolled over They rolled over in a 24-17 loss to the Dolphins. Just some of the many lowlights of being a Jet fan. We can go on forever, and we will. We'll pick it up on another show. And, hey, dude, it was pretty good. Jet talk. Man. Crying in a towel. You know what comes after you talk to the Jets? What you got to do?
Bridge.
Right, you need something to calm down. It'll all be okay. Keep the faith. And remember, the best is always yet to come.